Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. This is my first speech, and this speech is entitled Who Am I, and How Did I Get Here? I am a husband, a father, a sign language interpreter, and a graduate student. I'm also a new member of Toastmasters. My name is Leland Paul Reeck. I go by Paul. My parents never intended to call me Leland, which is also my father's name and my grandfather's name. And they both go by Leland. Let's see. I grew up in a small town in Arizona, Lakeside, Arizona. And Lakeside is the same elevation as Colorado Springs. And I then went to school in Tucson and was studying biology. I was going to become a doctor like Leland II. I was going to have to study a little harder than I intended throughout life as a doctor. And so I thought, what else would I like to do? Well, I thought maybe I'll try psychology. My grandfather, Leland Sr., was a psychiatrist, and so I changed my major to psychology. Every summer I tried to find, because the only direction I had was Leland II, that wasn't working out, Leland I's career path, so I thought I need to find my own way. And so I would take a summer job at a potentially related field. So I applied and got a job at a summer camp for the handicapped. And as I began working there, the first people I met were two deaf counselors. And I thought, well, here's something that's different. And I was intrigued by the fact that here is a group of people who communicate and listen. They listen with different mechanisms than the rest of us, and they express themselves with their hands rather than their mouths. And so I thought, what's the best way to learn this language? And that was going to be my summer project. So I thought, well, first thing I need to know is how to say, how do you sign? So I learned to say, how do you sign? And then I would point at things. And the first thing I pointed to was coffee. I said it there just for that. Coffee. I wrote that down, how to sign coffee, and I remembered it to this day. Let's see. I heard that it takes about 4 years to become a sign language interpreter, and I thought, I'm going to do it in 2. Well, a year and 8 months later, I was getting paid to interpret in an after-school program, and was professional at that point since I was getting paid. I called myself a professional. I quickly became state certified and went through the rest of my college career as an interpreter, honing my skills in that and practicing my psychology studies. I met my future wife in my second junior year of college. A year and a half later, we graduated, got married, and moved to Portland, where we endeavored to establish ourselves as a couple and figure out who we are in this life as adults and professionals. And I wanted to check out the psychology aspect, got a job I hated, and went and applied to social work school, did not get in, so I went back to interpreting, and I continued with sign language interpreting, got nationally certified, and then we promptly moved to Colorado Springs. We've been here about 13 years, and we started having children. We have 3 boys. And then I had an early midlife crisis about 2 years ago, and decided, with all the tenacity that I've done with sign language interpreting over the years and doing that, there were some words that haunted me. When I first started, somebody said, don't just be an interpreter. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but what it meant to me was don't just be another person's mouthpiece, and don't do other people's work, do your own work as well. It is good to do other people's work and pass along information, but also to participate in that actively. And as interpreters, we're supposed to be non-entities in the room. So I went back to psychology and thought I want to become a counselor. There is now I am in the halfway through the 3-year program at UCCS and obtaining my master's in counseling. Next month, I'm going to give a presentation at the American Counselors Association's annual conference in Orlando on how interpreters and counselors can better work together in session. That's why I joined Toastmasters. I love Toastmasters because I can practice on everybody here rather than my audience in Orlando and those beyond. Doing a little bit of homework, I learned that Toastmasters has been helping introverts communicate like extroverts for over 100 years. That is some of who I am and how I got here. Thank you.